about the well-being of his creation. In Genesis, God addressed Adam's aloneness. The ministry of Elijah and Elisha, Jesus and the apostles were marked by notable healing miracles. And the wisdom literature and several of the epistles tackle topics of joy, peace of mind, and fear. The holistic approach to taking care of the mind, body, and soul is prevalent throughout the Word of God. The challenge for the Christian, especially America, is to find a holistic approach to ministry, helping people to live better lives. The church is called to follow Jesus' example with demonstrating God's love in our homes and within our families. The focus on healthy ways of relating to others should extend beyond the family to neighbors, the community, and beyond. Jesus displays holistic ministry at its best. Ministry focuses not only on gathering souls for the kingdom of God, but also on meeting the everyday needs of the oppressed, the hungry, the imprisoned, the sick, and the outcast. With a renewed emphasis on ministry to the needs of the whole person, the church will fulfill its mission, glorify God, reach more, and truly heal the land.
Amen. Amen. Any questions from the people on the introduction?
Heal the land.
Amen. Amen. Any questions from the people on the introduction? If not, Lake Boy will hear is our teacher for this morning, Brother Buck.
Amen. Glory, glory, hallelujah. When I lay my burden down, glory, glory, hallelujah. When I lay my burden down, burden down, burden down, when I lay my burden down.
Good morning.
Morning.
We see you out again for another glorious day, which is the third Sunday in this new year.
Amen.
So it's just good to be here.
Amen.
We know some started from January beginning and they're not here today. But our purpose here is to continue to lift up God's word and the teaching of his word.
Amen.
Now, as I began to do my study for this week, I look and see that we in another book, the four gospel writers. We see Matthew, Mark, and John, they call it synoptic. So here we are right here in Mark. Now, Mark was along with them. Then I look at this thing here, and we say that the subject look for us healing for the whole person. Now, what came to my mind, I thought about, in order to heal the whole person, you have to start from the inside, heal the heart. Then you work from outside, you can see the healing from the inside. Because if you notice that in the heart, it says you have the soul, you got to heal the soul, the mind, and the emotion. Then all that come together in the conscious. When you do all that, that's where the healing begins. Now, as I look at this lesson here and think about what we're talking about, both hearts, you can't see either one of them, but you can receive the reaction from what's going on in the heart. When you look at that physical heart, that's on the inside. You can't see that. But when somebody's doing what we're doing, you see it on the outside. And that's what this lesson about healing starts on the inside, then it goes in to get my special point across. So the first guest I'm gonna call in that got a good idea of what we're talking about, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna call old David. Come on up here, David, and talk to us.
Look at David.
We had some special guests coming this morning. She was trying to puzzle my brain who was the special guest. So David had that man, but what did God do? God had to heal his heart from the inside. When he did that, we saw what happened to the outside of David. So then I went on a little further. I said, now since David did that, I had my other guests come to me. And I said, come on up here, Paul. Tell us what happened, Paul.
But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, and faith.
Paul said was silent, but not the road things happen and it changed. So what happened? It had to start from the where? The inside. Once God changed the inside, that is that heart. Once you get that heart straight, that spiritual heart, then it's going to come to that other heart you have. And that's why the healing began. When I start with in the depth spot, and that's that center, which is the heart. Now, as we continue to get in this lesson, so you have a desperate plea, you have a discerning plea, and you have a divine plea. Think about what went on in this lesson. That desperate this man. Now, as I read about that, some of them said, well, they probably had got tired of carrying this man around. That might have been true. But we know that what was that desperate plea to get this man to see who? Get him to see Jesus. So that's a desperate situation. They want to get there because they knew what would happen once he get to see Jesus. Now, as we move into our lesson today, we're going to continue to see how this was so desperate there. And that desperate plea, read that right there. Look who coming. Now, Jesus had been there before. Now, as he entered into the city, there was some noise in the house. What was that noise there? They say in the house. So, had I began to read about things, I thought about what Tyra said. Who is in the house? Jesus is in the house. And when I thought about what happened when Jesus is in the house, I had to go back. Because things changes when Jesus and the men knocked on the door, they came in. What did they want? They didn't want locked doors. What did they want? They wanted to angels. So when Jesus came in the house, or God came in the house, what did he do? He blinded. So who was in the house then? God was in the house right there. Then I didn't stop there. I said, well, let's see. If that happened, let's go a little further. Then I thought about if he blind them, and he can turn around and give sight to the blind man. What did the blind man want? All the blind man wanted to see. And what did Jesus do? He gave him sight. Now, God, he blinded them because what they were doing, Jesus gave sight to the blind. So I didn't stop there. I went just a little further. I went into Peter. When Jesus came to Peter's house, what was happening there? His mother-in-law was sick. So what was in the house? Jesus in the house. And what he did, he made her well. And once he made her well, she began to cook. Look at that. Who is in the house? Jesus in the house. So when Jesus come in the house, things change. Not only that, when Jesus come in your house, things can change. You got to do is what? Invite him in and let him come in. So the people here, they knew Jesus was in the house. Now, it was so many people around there that they couldn't get him there. But all the people know that Jesus could do what he said because he had already done some of these things. So all of them came there to see Jesus. Isn't that something? This old good old homeboy, you know, say, oh, homie come back in town. Homie doing things that nobody else could do, and everybody want to get to see homie. Now, some of them didn't come for the good reason. Some of them came for other reasons, but yet they was there to see homie. Read that next one there.
And straightway many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them. No, not so much as about the door. And he preached the word unto them.
Here it is. Jesus up there preaching. So many people there, all around the house. Now, as you read about that, they said they don't know what that Peter's house or that was his house. But what they do know is that people was all around there that he couldn't get in. So many people come there to hear the homie again because the things that he had done before. So as they begin to get there, and Jesus began to preach. Now here's the part about it. This is what we all need. As he continued to preach his word, look what happened here. Read that next.
And they come unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was born.
Go ahead and read the next one.
And when they could not come nigh unto him for the press, they uncovered the roof where he was. And when they had broken it up, they let down the bed wherein the sick of the palsy lay.
Now, if you notice that word palsy means a paralytic, a man that could not do anything for himself. This man, they said, probably that's laying around, he's been asking folks to do something for him, and they know. His friends know that if I can get this man to Jesus, he's going to be all right. How do you know that? Because Jesus had already healed one man that was lame. They was there with him. So if he did that to this man, I'm talking about that centurion man. Do you remember the centurion man, that Roman soldier? He wasn't even there. He asked him, say, Jesus, could you heal my servant? And what he said, Jesus said, your servant. So he said, this man was one of the best people there because he said, you don't have to go there, Jesus, because I don't want you to go to my house. I'm not worthy for you to go to my house. All I want you to do is just say the word. And what happened? When Jesus said the word, that servant was healed. So they know about that. So what they said, if I can get Jesus to him, I know that he can heal because he healed a man through his word. So I know he can heal this man. All I got to do, all we got to do is what? Get him there. Now, if you look, he had something that we call friends. that we call friends. Now here, this man has some true friends. They're hauling around or what, but they know they need to get him to see Jesus. Now, that wasn't an easy task. When you read about this here, what was so hard about that task to get that man there? First thing he said, get up on the ladder. All right, then they had to get through the what? Get through the crowd. Had to get through the crowd to get him there. Now, so these little houses they were built, there was mud on the top, they had sticks and all that there. So they had to dig through all this. And once they dig through that, they had to let the man down. Think about that. Now, you let the man down was dead weight. But we cutting out a roof, digging the roof off to get him there. Let him down. Now, during that time, when they doing that, what was Jesus doing? So he was what? He was preaching. Think of that. Jesus come out here through the roof and I'm trying to preach the word. Wow. So what it said? Those men had what? They had faith. And this part right here, it wasn't about the man right there. It was about the faith that those men had to get to Jesus. Here's like Peter was thinking about. Wait a minute. They tearing up my roof. And I got to replace that roof. Roof, man. You got to replace that roof. They let him down in the roof. But Jesus was there because they wanted to get him to see Jesus. Now, that's what you call a friend. Those are trying to get tough. We always get to run. But what this friend here, they didn't say it like that. They knew this man needs to be healed. And they also knew who could heal this man because he had already done it before. That man called named Jesus. So here they are. Let him down through the roof. Do you have a question there? That's what you call that desperate plea. They were desperate to get the man there so he could be healed. All right? Well, and you don't have, here's a question for you. Here said, how far have you ever gone to help a friend in crisis? Have you ever went out your way to help someone that you call friend? Be honest. I know some of us have. You want to tell us about what you've done, go out to help somebody to be in need. And we call ourselves Christians. But where does that Christian love stop? Does it stop when somebody really needs your help? It's not supposed to stop. It's not supposed to stop there. You need to help somebody. Go out your way to help somebody. Those men, they went out that way to help this man, to get him to see Jesus. How many of us, we don't even go out our way when church is going on in the big time, how many of us got somebody to come here to church, ask somebody to come, invite somebody to come? Did we ever do that during the time? So that's our way of bringing folks to and helping somebody. These are what you call true friends. How many friends do you have in your life? You remember last week, the pastor said, your friends should be in a little small circle. You know, we always claim everybody to be our friend, but I always said I had a lot of associates when I was working. I have few friends. A friend is somebody you can count on at 2 o'clock in the morning. That I'm desperate. I need to go somewhere. What I do, pick up my phone and say, hey, could you take me this here? That's a friend. Now, other friends say, hey, could you take me somewhere? Man, you know what time it is? Huh? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I got to get up and go to work. So what you call them? But you waking my children up. Not on that, you wake my wife up. She probably think it's another woman. Because what? But that's a friend that we call a friend. That friend gonna say, give me a minute. Let me get myself together. I'm coming. That was our friend. This man here, he was in need. Those men didn't put it off. They know to get him to see Jesus. So that's what you call a friend, not a socialist. The next one, anybody else? Wow. All right, here's the second part. It says a discerning plea. Now we see where we have a desperate plea. Now we have a discerning plea. Now that discerning plea means showing insight. Now this is the good part right here. You notice about this part here. Tell us about this insight.
When Jesus saw their faith, he said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, thy sins be forgiven thee.
Look right there. Who faith did Jesus saw? He saw who? No. He saw his friend faith. What faith did they have? They had faith that they could get who? Get him there to see Jesus. That's the faith they had. He didn't see the faith of the man first. He saw the faith of his friends there, trying to get him to see Jesus. Then we say, the man was sick of the palsy. Son, look how he called that man son. And some refer to affirming the man's faith. Now, here's part of the man's faith. He finna affirm that man's faith because he called him son. Look at that word he do. Jesus doing this. It said, thy sin be forgiven thee. Wait a minute. I didn't bring him there to forgive his sin. What did we bring him there for? To be healed. But first, we say you got to heal what first? You got to heal the inside in order to get to the outside. So here they are thinking, and we didn't bring him there, this man here to do that. We brought him for him to be healed. But Jesus did a little thing right there. He said, I'm gonna heal this man first from the inside. His sins be forgiven. And here we're going further. We're gonna see about Jesus can forgive sin. Now this is gonna really be good when we get further. How can Jesus forgive sin? Let's see what the next one says.
But there was certain of the scribes sitting there and reasoning in their hearts.
Stop right there. Look who's sitting there. The old scribes. Now, those are the very important people. The ones that had the knowledge. You had the Pharisees. You had the Sadducees. All the folks that knew the Bible. So they sitting there. And look what they said. Certain scribes sitting there and reasoning in their heart. What do we say? In the Jesus. Why does Jesus start? He starts in the heart. Now, they didn't say nothing, but Jesus was reading their heart, which was their mind. They were saying that, how can this man do that? Come on, what he gonna do? And he's already telling them. He already knew that because he reading the heart. And read that next one now, let's see what it tells us on that.
Why does this man thus speak blasphemies? Who can forgive sins but God only?
That's a big one right there. Wait a minute. This man called himself Jesus. We done heard about all the things that this man done. And he gonna talk about he gonna forgive sin. We know he can't forgive sin. Only one person forgives sin. And that's God. I was like, you to think about that. That carried me back to Leviticus. You know, in order for them to forgive sin, what they had to do? They had to make a sacrificial offering. So here this man right here don't forgive their sin without doing anything. How he call himself can forgive sin? Who he always said? Who you think is Mr. Big Stuff? Walking around forgiving sin. This man can't forgive no sin. He must have think he's God. What they didn't accept that he was God. They didn't accept the identity of God. They didn't accept that he was 100% man and he was 100% God. They were saying, how can this man here call himself Jesus? Who was always running behind Jesus? His enemies. Who was his enemies? His people. The Pharisees and the Sadducees. They had heard about Jesus all along the way. The kind of teaching that he was teaching that was totally against what they was teaching. They didn't like that. So they want to see what this man Jesus is all about. Remember when I told you in the beginning, everybody come to church is not in church. Everybody come to church is not coming for the word. Some people are coming to church just to come to church. Other people are coming to church just to criticize what the preacher's saying. So here we are right here. These folks sitting there, they didn't come there, and I bet you they was the first somebody in that house because they want to get a front row seat what was taking place right there. Let me see for myself what this man was doing. So here they go. How can he do something like that there? They didn't know who he was. They said, then he come out forgiving sin. That's the exact thing right there. Only God can forgive sin. So this man is blaspheming against God. What is blasphemy? He claiming to be God. What? Yeah, he can be God. You know, I can see them sitting together. Old Pharisees, Sadducees, hunching each other. Did you hear him? He thought he was God. Look what he gonna do. Talking about forgive that man's sin. We didn't come here for that. But then we come here to church, see what he's doing. Do that sound just like us? Sometimes we come to church. We don't come to church to get church. We come to church just to be in church. That's the reason. So some of these folks, they come the same thing. They come down to see what you heard about. Because you know, the word can spread. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, that word gonna spread. So this word here has spread what Jesus was doing. He was healing the sick. He was raising the dead. He was casting out demons, giving sight to the blind. Who this man, Jesus? I want to see him. We're gonna see what's going on with it. All right, read the next one.
And immediately when Jesus perceived in his spirit that they so reasoned within themselves, he said unto them, why reason ye these things in your hearts?
Look what Jesus did. He saw it in his spirit, what they were saying. They hadn't said a word. to Jesus. But he saw it in their spirit. What was that spirit? That was in their heart. And in their heart, that was in their mind. They was talking about Jesus right there, and he didn't say a word. Now he posed a question on them. Why are reason these things in your heart? I told you, it started from where? It started from the heart. Jesus saw that in their heart, and in their heart was nothing good. The same people that followed Jesus all the way through here. The 4 books tell us the same people. And what did those people do? They the first one, they want to crucify him because Jesus was teaching something that they didn't believe in. They believe in God, but they didn't believe, can nobody do this with God? Go all the way back to living. God doesn't like this. But that's what they thought. But that's what Jesus read their heart. So I'm telling you, watch what you think in your heart and in your mind, because Jesus already reading will know what you say. When you talk about somebody, Jesus already know that. He's already in your head. So think about the thing that you do. I hope that we can learn some things from this lesson that make us a better person, to let us know that Jesus is always there. What it said, Jesus is in where? He's in the house. He is in your house at all times, whether you want it or not. He's right there. He is there all the time in your mind. We say in that mind, you have that conscience. That conscience let you know what's right and wrong. So Jesus right there with you. When you're doing the wrong thing that you think that nobody knows, who knows that? Jesus, because he's right there with you. This is what they found out. They just thinking in their mind, and Jesus already read their mind. He knew what was going on. Question them. I see things going well. I see I got my preacher, Reverend Collins. Reverend Collins, got us something before we move on?
Now I have everything right.
Talk to us then, all right? If you don't have anything, I like it. We have a question. Do anybody else have anything to say? Wait, we got a question. Come on, sister.
Every day I ask God to do 3 things. Speaking things on, and to keep my mind from thinking things on. I ask God that every day because I just don't want to hurt nobody, and I won't think evil about nobody. Those 3 things I do it every day. I know you probably sick the same thing, but I say the same thing every day. I just don't want to hurt nobody and be ill with nobody.
Okay. All right, preacher.
Excuse me, but then we talked about something, how we can watch what's on our mind. And we do, but we as saints, Satan will oppose us on every level. And there are times when we can't do nothing but think ill will, but scripture tells us we have to cast those thoughts down. Just because we get some weak thoughts, or we have some evil thoughts, does not mean we abandon ourselves when we cast those thoughts down. Or just as Satan came to Jesus when Jesus was in the wilderness and tempted Jesus, Jesus used scripture. And so in this particular sense right here, Jesus is only perceiving what they're saying, and he's trying to get them to see why they're saying. He's trying to show them, but they don't want to hear it because, as you said, they have not accepted Jesus as Christ, the Son of God. That's not right.
I liked it. But and I thought about that. These people here, they were saying that sin was to cause this man to be like he was. But that's not true. It doesn't say anything about this man had sinned. Do you remember when Jesus asked him walking along the riverside and the blind man was there? And the disciples asked Jesus, who sinned? They were saying him. They had been taught that sin was to cause that person to be like it was. But in order to do that, you got to go back where it says sin doesn't cause sickness, but because of sin, we are sick. What are you talking about? I'm talking about Eve in the garden. What happened? It wasn't the apple. What did she do? She disobeyed God. So the disobeyed caused the sin. So it wasn't that, and it said that's why the sin started. From the beginning right there. So sin doesn't cause sickness, but because of sin, we are sick. That's it right there. I had to think about that there. And I'll make it real plain to you. James 4:7 said, submit yourself therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will what? Flee from you. If she had to did that, he would flee from her. We got to do what? That's what it calls that strength part. Strength means to resist. So that's what James tells right there. So that's good. I like that. And there's a question followed that. The question says, when you are present for worship at church, what's your mind say? When you come in that door, what's your mind say? Last night, am I mind on the football game today? Am I mind on gonna curse somebody out when I step out that door? Am I mind on what I'm gonna cook? What's on your mind? What you say? Come on, talk to me. What's on your mind? What's on your mind? Come on, Bridget. Got some help here. Talk to us. What's on your mind?
That game on my mind a little bit. My little cousin played that.
But as I just said, if you take church seriously,
Uh-huh.
you know, there are some necessary steps you need to do before you walk through those doors. Sometimes, and that only comes from me saying with maturity. Because I was in church when I was young, my mind really wasn't on no church.
No.
But when I started living life and seeing how good God had been and seeing all the stuff God had brought me through, then I decided to take the church more seriously. And as for me, you just bypass the point.
Mm-hmm. And when you clear mind and focus strictly on Jesus, then everything gonna be all right then. So, but we come here, we still got this stuff on our mind. The preacher preaching, I'm thinking about what I did last night. I got to be able to resist that. That's why I said resist. That's your strength. Where your strength come from? Resisting Satan. When you be able to resist Satan and focus on what you're supposed to, you'll see what happened there. Just think about it. That day in Acts, it said when they all got on one accord, what happened? The Spirit filled the place. Look what happened. If we can all get on one accord, think about how the Spirit fill this place. But in order to get on one accord, you got to let Jesus in and let him work with you. What that song said, work on me. We got to let Jesus work on us, not just one day. He got to work on us what? Every day. This is a job. This is not a one day we stop. Every day there. So once we begin to do like that, we're going to see some changes in our life. So we begin to focus like that there. When we come in that door, our mind should be clear on nothing but accept the Lord. Whatever the preacher tells us right, that's what we be. What? Get in the mind of doing like that. That's the way I feel about that. All right. Here's the next one. It said a divine plea. Now, the divine plea that only God, they said, can forgive. That divine plea. That means to forgive. So here we go. Read that.
Where there is the sick of the palsy, thy sin be forgiven thee, or to say, arise and take up thy bed and walk.
Now, you know, when I read that, I thought about, what is he talking about there? It'd be easy to say, get up, man. Get up and go about your business. So what has he accomplished there? No. Jesus hadn't accomplished anything because that's what they were expecting him to do. But what he told him, he said, your sins are forgiven. So he tell the man right there, I'm going to forgive your sin. Once I forgive your sin, I didn't bring him in for forgive his sin. I brought him for this man to get up and walk. But Jesus told him just opposite. First, I'm going to come from the inside. If I get that inside, then I'm going to go on the outside. And what happened on the outside? The man did what? Took up his bed and he walked. So here they are sitting right there looking. They was waiting on Jesus to say, go ahead and walk. They were going to criticize that. What did you tell that man to do? Get up and walk. But Jesus told him, look, I'm going to go to the inside. And then we're going to go. Read that next.
But that ye may know that the Son of Man had power on earth to forgive sins, he said to the sick of the palsy.
That's a question. Wait a minute. Who can forgive sin? Son of Man. No, he can't do that. Only one person forgive sin. Who's thinking like that? That's the Pharisee. Who can forgive sin? Nobody but God. They weren't thinking about that. Jesus was God. That's when they said, this man is blaspheming. I don't know. You can't forgive sin. How can that man do something like that there? But he told them on the earth, God gave them all power on the heaven and earth. They didn't think like that because they were still mad. They were trying to find a way to do what they did, to crucify him, to make him out alive. That's what they were coming there looking for, because he was teaching something that they didn't like. But look what it, verses 11 and 12, go ahead.
I say unto thee, arise, thy bed, and go thy way into thine house. And immediately he arose, took up the bed, and went forth before them all, insomuch that they were all amazed and glorified God, saying, we never saw it on this fashion.
Wait. Take up your bed and walk. First, your sin. I'm inside. Now, I want you to take up the bed and walk with this. That's showing me what? On the outside. What the man do? Think about it. When they brought that man down, what was he doing? He was laying flat. Laying flat. Somebody had to bring him in. But when Jesus told him to take up his bed, what happened? The man got up, took his bed, and he told me what? Go home. Now, isn't that amazing? You know this man. You've been around this man. You know this man cannot walk. You know this man can't do that. But what Jesus said, I'm going to forgive your sin. Once I forgive your sin, that's the inside. I'm going to let them Pharisees see what I can do on the what? Outside. And what did he do on the outside? He healed the man. Told him take his bed and go about his way. Now tell me, who had the man had to have faith in that. But remember, the faith come from his friend that come from the man had faith. That Jesus could do what? Could do that because he had already did that for other people. So they had that faith man do that. So you have to have that faith. Not only have faith, but you got to have to believe that he can do that. And he did. He proved his point to the most Sadducees and Pharisees. Look what I can do. So I would say Jesus was boasting. But to me, it looked back kind of like Jesus was boasting, letting them know I can do this here. Because I am who? I am God and I am man. So I can show you what I can do. So all the way, nobody else could do anything like that. But Jesus did. He just showed them what he can do. He was all in their head, and they didn't like that. They didn't want to know, how could this man get in my head like that? He was right there, messing with their head. Not only messing with their head, he showed them what he can do. Now tell me God ain't good. God is good all the time. He's still in our head. And that shows us what he can do for us. I like to know what God can do. Read this lesson. That tell you what God can do. He's done some of the things he can do. There's a question for our lesson. Do you have a question? Have I talked too much? Here's the question. The question says, can you recall and share with the class a personal experience of healing, mental, social, emotional, physical, or spiritual? Testify so that others can praise God for what he has done for you. Can you think of an experience where you've been healed, either mentally, socially, in your life? Come on, preacher.
I can, and it's because mental illness is real. A lot of us, especially in the black community, we look over mental illness, but mental illness is definitely real to the point where you have to go out and you have to take pills, you have to be on a certain regimen. And I had reached that low one time where I had failed so low and I began to dissolve away because of my mind, because of the challenges that I had in front of me that I had to face alone. And it couldn't nobody pick me up from that and deliver me from that with Jesus. When Satan attacked my family, it brought me to a real low place where I wasn't me anymore. And besides going to get professional help, Jesus had to lay his hand on me. And when I look back at it, couldn't nobody deliver me from that circumstance but Jesus. And my friend was coming to me saying, Sam, how is it that you maintain and keep yourself going in the midst of all that you're going through? And my response, it wasn't me, it was Jesus. That is a true saying that if he has to reach way down to pick you up, God can and will pick you up. And now that I'm on the other side of that, that's my testimony, is nobody but God. Because I only had maybe one friend during the whole ordeal, and lost while I was going through the ordeal. So wasn't nobody there but God. And sometimes God brings you out of things that are in my life that I'm not afraid of, because if God done it for me, one of the things I won't forget go into depth with it, but
Mhm.
yeah, I was just playing over the time and I was at a low, real low point.
My wife. Well, I have two boys. They both have been in prison. One shooting somebody, other doing something got no business. To me, that was a downright low blow to me. That's beginning to get me emotional because I thought I was bringing up my children right. We tried to do everything right. We kept them church. They lived church Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But that when they got grown, they went and done something they weren't supposed to do. Now, as me being in my profession, people talk about us. He didn't do what he done. Yeah, I raised him right. We raised him. My wife, she started feeling down hard. But you know, once I went to God and realized that I had done my part and put it in his hand, he took care of that. So this is what this is all about. You know, we all had some down part in life. But once you put it in, and God don't lead me where I'm supposed to be. She had to do that. They had to get us straight on that. I kept her all the time. Don't worry about it. We done our part. And sure enough, they here, they're grown, but they're doing okay. But it's because that we trust in God. We believe that God could do what he said. Nothing happened to them when they were there. So that's the good thing about that. I'm not saying we're better than nobody else, but I went through that. Come on, preacher.
I've heard, it's good that some people may not need no medicine
Mm-hmm.
and may wish, but God put resources down here on earth,
Yes.
you know, for us to use, to get us through some things. One of the attributes of God is that he's on our side. On the side means God is all knowing. God left some things down here on this earth for us to discover, for us to use, and to benefit us along the way. I mean, I ain't got no problem if people are going through something, they don't want to take no medicine, let them. But now if God the unbill, then I'm going to take it.
Now, I'm not saying that,
Now,
preacher.
I don't really say it
Okay.
because I see some people may not.
Some people, exactly.
God,
Some people, but then we have people need medicine. Now, here's the catch to me. I thought about it. That's all right. I like it. When I was in school, I looked at some of these kids. Everything you see now, look, I believe if you give this child an aspirin every day and don't tell him what the medicine is, and that's may do the same thing. Because what is it? Once you get in that mind that I got to have my medication this morning. Okay, he knows that now. I'm acting this way because what? I missed my medication. True, that could be the problem. I'm not saying it's not. But I think once we get in a person's head and tell them, you got to have this medicine every day in order to calm you down. I remember the medication I got that calmed me down. It was that bent. That calmed me down a whole lot. Yes. It didn't take much of that to calm me down. Back in my day, we probably had a lot of folks with hyper. But when the parents got through with us, that hyper somewhere else. But now, everything you do, you want to put a child on medication. There's nothing wrong with it if that's what's working. But we want to do the quick solution to fix a long-term problem. I hope we got right here. Thank you, preacher. Come on, preacher.
You talk about that medication. There's a guy was trying to drive me one night, right across the street from here. And then his mama said, he was robbing me, he had to know his medications. And then the grandma said, when you go sign him out, he had his medication. I went to jail 5 days later, they said, ain't nobody said he need no medicine.
See, that's my point. That's my point of how we do things. We put people on, label them, we put them on something that's don't even need. Come on, preacher. Now we're getting hot in here. Go ahead, preacher.
You know, that's we want to keep that balance. Just because he didn't get it, doesn't mean he didn't need it.
All right.
Because I'm a nurse and I've been in that situation with people that come in. And like Reverend Collins is saying, we have to keep that balance because there are some people who need that medication. And if you need your medication, take it because that's why God put it here. But on the other side, I see what you're saying. Sometimes we attribute too much or we lay too much blame on this medicine. But we want to keep that balance. So if you need the medicine, take the medicine. God put the knowledge in that doctor's head to take care of that situation. And, you know, when you're dealing with mental illness and just the stress and strain of life, everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs somebody. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care how long you've been at church. You're going to run over some things in this life that's going to knock you to your knees. And it's good to have somebody, you know, a true friend to help you through those challenges in life. And there's nothing wrong with it. Anybody that says, you know, that they super strong and they can take anything, I stay away from you. Because, even Superman was learning the kryptonite.
You see what I'm talking about? Once you throw some stuff out there, everybody want a piece of it. I like that. But what we about, this is a piece of telling the truth about it. We live in a balanced world, but you gotta be careful because some folks abuse that balance the wrong way. So preachers, thank you. There we go. It's getting good now. Wait, let me say one thing. Deacon, I would like to be called preacher.
He went down, did his 5, got out last year, came back, and then 3 or 4 weeks ago, he put on in the work church and broke in the house and shot and he fell out. He might not be his husband there.
So here we go, preacher. Look at these preachers. Come on, preacher.
So I think the whole lesson is more being wholeness. And Jesus wants us all, and wholeness is being sound in mind, sound in body, sound in spirit. To where this man here was missing the 2 of the 3, or maybe all 3. He was a paralytic.
Yeah.
And he was full of sin, even though he was a paralytic. But Jesus came along and healed him from the inside, as you said first.
Yes.
Healed him from the outside. Then he sent him home. And he told the man to go home.
That's right.
Once a person is made, once a person is healed with your spirit and in your mind, and Jesus sent you home, he has a greater mission for him because then it became his ministry to heal his home. About healing himself. Paul said, put your sword down, do thyself no harm, for we are all here. He said, what must I do to be saved? He said, believe on Jesus. Then he said, go home. And he went home and healed his house. And so the healing of a single individual is always meant to have a greater effect on the whole because that single healed individual go home and heal his house.
And then you got to remember, the 2 blind men, when they came in the house with Jesus, what did Jesus tell them to do? Ask them, do they what? Do they believe? That's the first thing. When he said that, what did he do? He touched their eyes, and what happened to them? Their eyes were open, and they began to see. So all that come back to the same thing. I like that, preacher. We got a good one this morning. Anybody else have something to say? Thank you, preacher. If not, you know, we had David and Paul in the house this morning. So I thank them for being here this morning. Give David and Paul a good hand this morning. Yeah, good job. I really have it all.
We want to thank God the month for Brother Collins and our motors and thoughts and our put on our